Hey guys, it's Ridge again with Sharp Ridge Outdoors. Today I'll be cutting the arrows that we fleshed the other day. You can see they're still all pretty good. And I had to take the nocks off in order to be able to cut the arrows. And this is an arrow saw that I actually made. I saw lots of videos on people making arrow saws. They usually used a long screw, basically, just really long, really big, in order to make the back of the arrow saw move forward and back, the part that determines how long your arrow is. I thought that was pretty cool, but I also thought, there's probably a better way to make them, just to make them a little easier to move and not take as much time. So it took me a long time to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and then I remembered that my dad used these basically saw clamps, and you would clamp big pieces of wood like 8x4 OSB or just plyboard. And so I grabbed one from Home Depot and I cut down the back end to make myself the moving portion of the arrow saw. So this clamp moves forward and back with no problem. So I thought it was a pretty cool design, and that's just something I like doing. I like kind of looking at something and figuring out how can I do it better, or how can I just make it a little easier. And so today we're going to be using this to cut down my arrows. Now, I cut my arrows at 27 5/8. So I have a metal plate back here, and that metal plate is where the butt of the arrow is going to rest against. So I want the face of that metal plate to be on 27 5/8. And I know it'd have been a lot easier to do 27 1/2 or something like that, but that's just what my arrows happened to be cut at before I decided to make this. So I just stuck with what I had. Hey everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick look of the arrow saw. I just used a Dremel. I bolted it down in place. Then I used a yardstick to help with my measurements. I drew a line with a T-square, and I set that blade right on 0 so I can get accurate measurements. Cut out this piece of wood and put an L bracket, and I cut a hole. You'll see where I penciled it in, and that matches that L bracket perfectly. And then I used this saw clamp, and I just screwed it into the wood to hold it in place. And here's the back end. I screwed another piece of wood on the back end so that the clamp itself can't come off. And the clamp slides really well. It's free to move. Put it down into place, you push this back, and there's no moving that at all. And it's hard with one hand. There you go. So that's a quick look at my arrow saw. So with this arrow saw, the arrows are too long to begin with, so I have to cut off so much of the arrow in order to be able to just get it down to the length that I need. So what I do, I grab a knife. This is a buck knife I guess it's not a buck knife. It's just a knife that I use. I use my fingernail to determine that right here, it will not go past this Dremel. So I put my fingernail, put it right up against the back of my fingernail, slice down to mark it. Now I know right there is what I need to cut off in order to be able to get it to fit in the arrow saw. I'll go ahead and do that. There. And it's it's rough right now, but that's not going to be the finished product. We'll get it down a lot better. So then I fit it in this hole that I've made, and I've made these two pieces of board so that when they line up, they're flush with each other right there. That's the way I've designed it. Now turn it on again and cut this arrow. Now, as you can see, I was rotating the arrow as I was cutting. In order to get the arrow to cut right, you have to turn the arrow in the same direction as the saw. So my saw rotates in this motion. So it rotates to the left. And so I also rotate my arrow to the left, towards me, basically. The saw is rotating towards me, and my arrow is rotating towards me as well. And right there you'll see that I've got a nice level head. So that's one. We'll go ahead and do the other. Now, this doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it's pretty fun to do just because, you know, you're cutting things. That right there. Okay, that's going to be right where I need it. Go ahead and cut that. There we go. They're all cut. Now, this is a sanding stone that my buddy gave me. We're just going to take the tip of the arrow. It's got a little piece that concaves out that goes into the hole in the arrow. And you're just going to twist it a couple of times to sand the tip down. Pull that out. We're going to do the same thing with this arrow. And now blow on again just to make sure all the residue is gone. Perfect.